parents, Olayim Hashem, did something radical, and that is they took me to Eretz Yisrael for my bar mitzvah. In those days, it was very unusual, unheard of. While we were there, amongst other things, I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was some big conference, convention going on from people, and remember one night, I was very tired, but we were there, and amongst the people who were there was Moshe Dayan. Moshe Dayan was there, eye patch and all. And even back then, I don't want to say how long ago this was, it was at my time of my bar mitzvah, somebody got up in the crowd, they were taking questions for the crowd, and asked Moshe Dayan, why isn't it that the yeshiva Bachrim get off from the armies? It was all the way back then, it was nothing new. And Moshe Dayan, anybody who knows anything about Moshe Dayan knows he was not exactly the firmest person around. And I still remember, I was there, I still remember what Moshe Dayan said. Moshe Dayan said, you know, I'm the defense minister. And so he said, I have certain people, they're very good at being in the air. So I put them in the Air Force. Said, I know certain people are very good at the sea, so we put them in the Navy. There's certain people who are good in tanks, put them in a tank. What would happen if I put that guy who likes to fly planes, I put him in a tank? Said, that'd be good, it wouldn't work. Somebody who's good at the sea, if I put him on an airplane, it wouldn't be good. Moshe Dayan said, and again, I tell you, I heard this. Moshe Dayan said, we have certain people who are very good at studying Torah. And they have to study Torah. And he said, it's just as important as one of my guys who's in the plane. You need those people studying Torah. Unfortunately, somehow, in the course of years, that's been lost in Eretz Yisrael by some of the quote-unquote leaders. But we have to have the awareness of Moshe Dayan, that we have to have that clear understanding that what keeps Klal Yisrael going is not Ela Varecha Ve'ela V'susim, even though those things are important, but we have to remember V'anachnu b'Shem Elokeinu Naskir. Naskir is not only tefillah, but also the learning. And if we don't have that, we're in very big danger. And we have to understand that very clearly. And it's not just in Eretz Yisrael. It's not just in Lakewood, but it's in our own Los Angeles and Pico Robertson. And therefore we have to appreciate the Lomdei Torah people. Now again, Baruch Hashem, especially during my lifetime here in Pico Robertson, born here, I first was in that room, the tremendous nace goal of the explosion of Torah in our community. So there's no way to explain it except for a nace goal, an open miracle. The only way to explain it. But we have to appreciate those who are sitting and learning Torah constantly. And again, besides everything else we could say about Rabbi Gradon, the Shurim and the Chizuk and everything that he gives, but just to be the person who holds together a Makom Torah where people learn day and night. We have to appreciate, and people don't appreciate enough, what this means for the community, what it does for our community. There's sorrows and there's the danger and all sorts of things. We don't appreciate that, how this protects us. It's our iron dome for our community against anything Chas v'Shalom happening. And so I say it every year, but it's very important that we hear, especially on this day, sorrows and things that befell Klal Yisrael, that we hear Rabbi Gradon's words of Chizuk. Okay.
The Gemara at the end of Masechta Tainis says that Kol HaMisabel al Yerushalayim, anybody who mourns over the loss of Yerushalayim, the lack of the Beis HaMikdash, the lack of Kedushas Yerushalayim, anybody who appropriately mourns over that, Zoche v'roeh b'Yeshuasa, will be privileged to see the liberation and the glory of Yerushalayim being reinstated. V'chol mi she'eino misabel al Yerushalayim, and if a person doesn't do so, just misses the point, doesn't find it interesting, doesn't find it necessary, eino misabel, eino zoche v'Yeshuasa, he will not be privileged to see and participate in the return of the glory and the Kedusha to Yerushalayim in the Beis HaMikdash. For us, these are not easy words to hear. It's not so easy for us to be misabel Yerushalayim, to mourn over the loss of Yerushalayim. I'll explain one reason now why it is that way. My Rabbi in his Sefer brings several reasons why it is that way, all of them that need to be taken into consideration. But I'll give you the most simple reason why it is this way. You have today, Bli Ayin Hara, you have a place in the world called Lakewood, New Jersey, at least in America. Today there are, I wouldn't say scores, hundreds, and perhaps thousands of families who have 4, 6, 10, 15 close family members living in the same city. That means between the husband and the wife, my own son-in-law, Rabbi Shlita, who came to join the Kollel around 10 years ago, I think has 8 siblings who live in Lakewood. My daughter also has siblings who live in Lakewood. So if they would live in Lakewood, and you would come to them and say, maybe you should come to Los Angeles or to any other place in the world and undertake this and this tafkid, this and this particular responsibility. So they look at you and think, right now we have 10 close families that live within 5 miles of us. The grandparents have just bought a home there, the great-grandparents have bought a home there, this one bought a home there, the other one bought a home there. So soon we're going to be 15 families or 20 families all surrounding this. And you can't imagine how beautiful it is, which it is. It comes Friday afternoon, people come in to visit the grandparents, they sit there, they get a bracha from grandparents, the Bobby gives some cake, the Bobby gives some ice cream, and the kids know one another and they're close to one another. It's unenviable, it's an unbelievable thing. To the person who lives there and has this experience, so what this claim rings true, and it probably never would occur to them to move away, irrespective of what the seductive force would be to move away. But let's look at the other side of the coin. One of the family members who does live in Los Angeles, Chicago, Cleveland, Phoenix, and is involved in a day school, is involved in a kollel, is involved in kashrus, is involved in a rabbanus, whatever the things are, there are many things that need to be done, and has left an indelible impression on the community. Because of this family, there is a first-rate mikveh. Because of this family, there is a day school from which children can actually leave knowing something and can proceed to a proper high school. Because of this family, the kollel eventually showed up, and the kollel has changed the face of the... So yes, they're not denying the value of what the Lakewood has to offer for their families. But God forbid, had I got caught up in that, and that would have become the sole driving force of my life, I would never have accomplished all the things that I've accomplished. We live today, so far, until this minute, in more or less a benign golus. And you can sit here on Tisha B'Av on the floor in your shul, you can have this one talk, you can have that one talk, you can have a mincha, you can have a mariv, you can have a rabbi, whatever you like is works. And you have community, and the community supports everybody, you try to support one another, and you're very happy. At least until Rabbi Sama said he was leaving. He didn't leave yet. So, but this is what we live with, what we understand. The people who don't live with you don't understand what you have, because they don't understand the strength of the community, don't understand the sense of contribution to the community. On the other hand, the people here don't really have that same sense of what's missing when they don't live in a center with the so many mishpachos, because they're not used to it. So it doesn't resonate the same way as it does for others. We have a viable form of Yiddishkeit without the Beis HaMikdash and without Shechina, without the proper measure of Shechina. We're able to Mekayim, Baruch Hashem, many of the mitzvahs, almost as many as any place in the world. There's much tzedakah, v'chesed that goes on, and we don't feel on a daily basis that we're missing something, because we haven't experienced anything otherwise, so we don't know that we're missing it. Not everything that we miss is important, but some things that we miss are critical. Imagine a person being able to go to the Beis HaMikdash and bring a korban because they did a chet, and if you bring the sacrifice in the Beis HaMikdash, the chet gets erased, if you do it properly. Imagine taking your children to the Beis HaMikdash and showing them on a daily basis the 10 miracles that the Mishnah in Perkei Avos says occurred in the Beis HaMikdash. So instead of your child walking in the street and seeing billboards that are catastrophic, they would have an image indelibly, someone's trying to get in the front door, I'm not sure if they can. Oh yeah, they just got in. Indelibly cut out, engraved in your heart, so that whenever the kid has a suffix in emunah bitachon, he turns back to the page, just like Rabbi Samas turned back to the page of his event in Eretz Yisrael. So the people who saw the miracles of the Beis HaMikdash are nischazik to feel the presence of the Rabbeinu Shalom, etc., etc. I don't know, each person's experience is different. The concept of a life of Kedusha is very limited to the person who lives Bizman Hazeh in most urban areas. What does Golus really mean? What does it mean to be in Golus? If they don't hit you all day long, or they don't steal from you, they don't murder you, and they allow you to do what you want, but they just don't like you, so therefore what? Where's the Golus? What's the Golus that we live in now? It's called Golus Edom. It's under the Greek, Roman philosophy. It's more so the Roman, and it goes on forever. And how is it defined in the Sfarim? What is the Golus that we're challenged by? So there's a medrash, a well-quoted medrash, that Yaakov Avinu in his dream saw Kadosh Baruch Hu showed him all 4 galuyos, all 4 ultimate exiles. The first 3, he showed them how each arose to power, ascended to power, and ultimately descended from power. When it came to the 4th galus, Kadosh Baruch Hu showed Yaakov Avinu how Edom would be oile, but he didn't show him that he was coming down. He didn't show him he was going to descend. And Yaakov panicked. Does that mean that at a certain point Esav will take over? Esav, Edom, Rome, Western culture will take over the world and rape it, and it'll be stuck forever, and there will be no continuation. So Kadosh Baruch Hu promised him, no, that's not what you're seeing. That's not what it is. Okay? Not important now to understand exactly what that discussion is about. So Rav Dessler, Zichron Levrach, in the 3rd volume of Michtav Melioh, has a brilliant delineation and presentation what Golus Edom Esav means, or where the challenge lies to us. And it's something insidious that you won't necessarily know or think about. The greatest force in the secular world today is the arrogance of koichi v'oitzem yadi. We're able to send a man to the moon. We're able to send a rocket 3,000 miles and make it drop into somebody's cereals plate in front of his nose and blow up a second later, not the first second. We're able to have communications that are instantaneous throughout the Bria. You can stand here and give this year, and somebody in Buenos Aires can sit wherever he is sitting now, and in the second that I'm saying, he has the entire picture and the whole thing that I'm saying instantaneously. And then we have what's it called, AI, so that people can stop thinking officially. Turn off the brain that was already rusty, you can turn it off, and just get someone to take care of all your needs and your thoughts. All of this is an undermining of the fundamental position of the Jew, which is a person's Adam la'amal yulad. A person was born to toil, to work. Work doesn't mean to go to a job. It means to be busy, to do things. One of the things you have to do is you have to go to a job. But that's not what the amal means. A person was born to toil. There's no, in the world today, and I have to tell you, in our families, Baruch Hashem, our children have 2 children, 5 children, 10 children, 12 children. You go out in the street and tell somebody that you have 8 children with your wife. He says, with one wife? What does it mean, 8 children? Where did you get them? What? Person completely flawed. But beyond being flawed by what it takes to do it, they don't believe in it. Why in the world would you want to produce 8 children? Why would you want to undertake a task like that? Just have 1 or 2 children and a couple of dogs and 3 housekeepers, and then you're good to go. Go whatever is important to you. Why is it that way? Because Adam la'amul yulad, we came to this world with one mission and one mission only, and that is to acquire olam haba. To work on ourselves in this world, that our neshamas should become cleansed and purified and advanced, so they can take pleasure in the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world to come. Olam hazeh is a prosdor lifnei olam haba. The amount of square footage you have in your house, the amount of pools you have in the backyard, the amount of cars you have in the driveway, the amount of money you have in the bank, the amount of pictures you have from some semi-half-known nitwit who draws a circle in the middle and tells you it's worth $1 million. How many do you have of those? Doesn't cut any ice with anybody. All that makes a difference is how much effort you put into serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Olam hazeh. The world that we live in around us, the world of koichi v'otzem yodin, the world of arrogance, doesn't recognize any of that and belittles it. It makes you feel like a fool. Why would you do that? Why would you pay $3.14 for a yogurt that Ralph's will sell you for 80 cents? Because a rabbi said it's kosher? I'll tell you it's kosher. Leave the rabbi at home. What do you need it for? What do you need to have so many festivals in the year that interfere with your work schedule? Why do you care who your child marries? Why are you all upset that your child isn't married or your child isn't marrying a Jew? Why don't you just chill out and take life a little bit easier? And the course of time, and this is one of the very big battles, the unspoken battles in Eretz Yisrael with Yeshiva Bachram, which involves very many complicated issues, as the Rav was Meramis. But one of the inyanim is that the setup of the army is a setup which is built on the philosophies of the Western world. They're very good at it, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu does most of the work. But they're very good at what they do. But unfortunately, they've adopted the philosophy and the approach of the koichi v'otzem yodi of the Western world. And therefore, they belittle the person who comes there and says, saying Shema Yisrael before we go to battle is important. Nobody says you shouldn't go to battle. You just want to say Shema Yisrael. No, if you do that, you're not a good commander in the army, so you lose your position. Kamavuar liyoide davar, etc. That's what Golus Edom is about. Golus Edom is about undermining spiritual responsibility and activity, because physical pleasures and physical accomplishments are nascent and growing and more meaningful and more powerful, and you feel like a fool. And you have to be very, very strong, very well educated, very strong, very determined not to feel that. But the truth is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu built the opportunity to fight against it into the system itself. When I came to Los Angeles just over 40 years ago, I was once in whether it was a supermarket or whether it was a pharmacy, and they had little cute things to sell, birthday cards and things. One thing was like a pamphlet. I remember it till this day, caught my attention. The pamphlet said, "I'd rather be 40 than." That was the name of the pamphlet. "I'd rather be 40 than." So it caught my attention. Maybe it shouldn't have done, but it did, and I opened and I looked at it. Every page was two things. One was a 40-year-old woman loaded up with a couple of kids and responsibilities, and every page was how she was suffering through life. The other page was the person who at 40 has zero responsibilities. The only thing she has to get to is the yoga class and Erewhon. It's the only two things she has to do in her life. And they keep showing you how she's having a great life, whereas this other woman who killed herself by getting caught up in all this nonsense. So I remember the thing hit me like a bomb. Where's the picture, what it looks like on Thanksgiving Day for the woman who never raised a family and hasn't got any family, and nobody in the world cares if she's alive or dead? Or where's the Kratzmach party for her? And where's the people coming to the hospital to help her when she has to have her appendix out? And where are the people helping her when some other tragedy occurs? Where's the life that you've built? What are you? Today you're nothing. You're just a number on a Facebook page. So the truth is, if you look into the picture, you can see the sheker, but it's a very overwhelming picture to see the accomplishments of people who really have developed high-tech and other things that can do things that are mind-boggling. They're only reflections of the Chachmas HaBoirei, the Chachma that we could put into the Torah. What I want to tell you is like this. I want to tell you something positive, not just a negative. That's the challenge. But the positive is like this. I mentioned yesterday in the Koilel that the Gemara in Masechta Bracha says, Taf Ches Amud Aleph, very beautiful, fantastic Gemara. The Gemara says, Kol ha'oisek b'Torah, a person who learns Torah seriously, v'gemilus chasadim, and engages in acts of kindness seriously with a level of responsibility.
if I continue to mention works